Hello and welcome to Sobrix. I'm Adam and this is Sobrix. This is my channel for reviewing LEGO sets and building them and other LEGO related stuff. In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at the LEGO Atlantis Neptune Carrier set. This is set number 8075. It has 475 pieces, and I paid $60 for this set. Now, this set is from, I think, 2010, so we're 14 years old at this point at the time of recording, and I found this sealed on a store shelf for, I believe it's just retail price, the price that it was, over a decade ago. And I think I saw that this set goes in the aftermarket now sealed for like $120, something like that. Some of the Atlantis sets go for more than others. It's not a theme that I have very much, if any, experience in. I think this will be the first Atlantis set I'll ever have looked at. I don't know how long the Atlantis theme was around. I don't know when it started exactly. I don't think there's that many sets, but it was interesting to me. It does have kind of this feeling of nostalgia, even though it's from an era of LEGO that I wasn't super involved in, but it reminds me of some other sets that I had when I was a kid, and this seemed pretty interesting. It's a relatively big box, as you can see here, for only 475 pieces, so I think there's a lot of big pieces in here. I'm kind of interested in seeing some of this stuff that is in this box, and if I can show more of the box art here. We have like this huge, maybe I don't know if this is all one piece under here or two pieces or what exactly is going on, but I'm interested to see, and there might be some glow-in-the-dark looking stuff over here and some nice characters, and I don't know, it seemed very interesting to me, so I decided to pick this up. So in this video, I'm going to open this up, I'm going to put this together, and then I'm going to share my thoughts on it. So while I build, I will speed the video up, and then I'll slow it back down to review this set. So until then, enjoy. Okay, so while we look at the build for this LEGO Atlantis Neptune Carrier set, I just wanted to say thank you for watching, and then remind you, if you like the video, click the thumbs up. If you like my other videos, click the subscribe button. That helps me a lot. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so every additional subscriber helps, and it means a lot to me, so thank you very much. And then I wanted to talk about the build. So all of the minifigures in this set are in the first bag of pieces. As you can see there, 4 minifigures. We start off with some interesting kind of side build things here that I sort of tried to keep a surprise for the review, but you can see pretty clearly where they are in terms of, or what they are in terms of this first bag of pieces. So we work on those, and then we can start working on this submersible proper, this Neptune Carrier. And there's some pretty interesting stuff here. We start with just a 2 stud width plate. We add on these hinges, several hinges here, and this kind of inverted arch or upside down arch at the back that actually becomes the place for the main like propeller or propulsion system. We close up that arch, which makes a really nice circle, and then we can kind of start working on some of the internal details and some of the bigger things. We had kind of these wings here, and a relatively big piece there for the back, as well as the antenna. And then we will work on some of the kind of bottom floor. I like to think of this set as having maybe 3 distinct floors. There's kind of a hangar bay lower floor. There's kind of like a lab area in the middle, and there's like the cockpit up at the top. So right here we're working on kind of the nose, the front end, which is sort of up around the cockpit area there, as well as the lab area. We have these big panels that we put on the side, as well as these weird big tubular type pieces there. Those are rounded and conical at the end and stuff. Add a couple of the flick missiles here, and I think that's pretty much everything, but I did struggle a little bit with some of the images because I didn't know how this was supposed to all go, and I completely didn't understand the functionality of this set. And then this is actually recorded way after I built this. I didn't put the stickers on when I was building it, and I think it was because the sticker sheet was a little bit bent. So then when I was about to review this set, I came back to it and realized I had to still put the stickers on. Felt like the stickers were okay, easy enough to put on, so that was not too much of an issue, not as much of an issue as I thought it was going to be. So that's kind of everything for this set, and now on to my review for this set. Thanks. Okay, so here is the LEGO Atlantis Neptune Carrier set. It's been a long time since I've built this, and then I realized when I was going to review it that I had not put the stickers on yet, and I actually can't remember why that was. I believe it was because there was a rather severe crease in the sticker sheet. It's a kind of old set, and I was concerned about the stickers coming off. I think I had looked at another set somewhat recently that was from a similar era, and I was having trouble with some of the stickers. They weren't staying on as well as I would have hoped, and I think I was trying to mitigate that as much as possible, and I had a lot of other stuff going on, so that's sort of why there's been such a long time between when I put this together and when I put the stickers on, and then even when I put the stickers on to when I am recording this video, or this portion of the video, for my thoughts on this set. But this is really cool. And we'll get into it. I believe at the time this came out, 2010, or 2009, 2010 era, this is maybe the biggest Atlantis set, and I think in terms of piece counts, there are bigger Atlantis sets now, but at the time, this maybe was one of the bigger ones here, and this is really interesting. So we will get into it, and I kind of had this leaning on its side, but I'm going to kind of move it over here so we can look at the rest of what's in this set. And the first thing we will look at is the minifigures, because you do get some. You get 4 minifigures in this set, and these characters have names. I'm not entirely sure what all of them are. I believe they kind of just refer to them as divers, 3 divers, but I'm also seeing some names here. So we will look at these, and the first one is Captain Ace Speedman. So that's this character here. So all these characters have some similarities in their prints and their accessories, but they're not entirely the same. But we do have the flippers here in kind of this nice green color. And then we have this awesome kind of diving helmet here. This is 2 pieces. It's not dual molded, but this is unique. It's not one I see super often. Some nice molded in details on the front for this kind of scuba gear here. We have kind of the air tanks at the back. Up top, this is a piece that can accommodate like Technic pins going in there. So that's what that is. And this kind of wraps around up top, has a little bit kind of details up there, and then allows for a visor to be put in there. The visor is a separate piece, but it can't like move or anything, which is helpful for being underwater. I can take that off, and we can kind of see what these 2 pieces look like here. And these are pretty similar through all 3 of the divers, or exactly the same, but really interesting, pretty good looking accessory there. I do like the translucent green. And then underneath that, we can see Captain Ace Speedman here. So they have some facial hair, and they wear an eye patch. There's pretty good detail in here, so that's nice. And this one does have an alternate face, which is Captain Ace Speedman looking much more concerned, a little worried. And so this one he's much more confident. Looking at the torso, we have kind of some nice metallic printing in here with some fine lines in there, different line weights, some good detail. All that's very good. And that's kind of following up some of the design stuff that's on, or that kind of folds in with the accessory here for this scuba gear. So these kind of tubes do get covered up a little bit by the helmet scuba gear, but we have kind of different things for a breathing apparatus down there. Going down to the midsection, we kind of have like different pouches or a belt. We do have printing on the midsection there, which is nice. And then we have printing on the legs. We have kind of an Atlantis looking patch here, a different strap, some maybe knee pad like things, and then stuff on the feet there. Nothing on the arms. Looking at the back of this character, again, we have more of these tube kind of things, which I think is to supply oxygen and various other things for the scuba suit there. So pretty well detailed. The next one we will look at is another diver, and this is Axel Storm. So this is pretty much the same as the Captain Ace Speedman, but there is some differences here. So we have the same kind of accessory in the flippers or the fins there, and then we have the same kind of piece for the helmet or the scuba gear, but it does have these extra little bits here. So we add in some Technic stuff in there and these translucent plates here or studs that allow for this to kind of look like it has a light or some extra gear going on there. So these could be pulled out and put in one of the other characters' scuba gear, but it does add a little bit of visual distinction for it, adds a little more bulk, and just a different vibe there. Underneath the helmet, we can see Axel Storm's face. Has some nice defined kind of cheekbone areas there, dimples, stern look on their face. They do have an alternate face, again, looking very concerned, scared, maybe yelling, maybe nervous, maybe embarrassed. I don't know exactly, but pretty expressive. Looking at the torso, it's actually the same as the Captain, same for the midsection, same for the legs, but still very good detail. Good detail on the back as well. Then we have a third one here, which is Dr. Jeff Fischer. It's another diver, and again, same kind of flippers, same kind of scuba headgear type piece. Underneath that, we can see Dr. Fischer's face. They have glasses and a mustache that kind of covers up their mouth. They do have an alternate face, again, looking surprised, scared, nervous, worried, and then we can see the mouth a little bit more there. The eyebrows are raised there. Looking at the torso, it's the same as the other two characters, the other two divers, same with the midsection, same with the legs. So not a ton difference here, just different head printings really. You don't get any hair pieces for these characters, so when they're maybe not just diving free in the water, if they're in the submarine or the Neptune Carrier there, or if they're in some underwater base or some other place where they might not need all this gear, they are all bald in this case, but that's okay. I think it would have been nice to get a little more distinction between some of these characters, especially for like the Captain. Maybe they could have something that signifies them besides the eye patch, or just the minifigure head face printing to kind of differentiate them as the Captain. Same with the Doctor, actually. I think maybe they could have something on them that I think conveys Doctor a little bit more. And I don't know for sure whether it's a doctor as in like a medical doctor or just a doctor of someone who maybe has a PhD in oceanography or something of the sort. But I would have liked to have maybe a little bit different stuff going on there. As is, it's kind of hard to tell. At the very least, it does allow for them to be somewhat interchangeable, and that's okay. And then we have another minifigure here, the fourth one, and this one is a Manta warrior. This is really interesting. So they have an accessory here, which is this gold trident, which is a nice piece, and they are a Manta warrior here. So they have this really interesting headpiece that is made out of kind of the more flexible rubbery plastic there, and I'll pop that off. It's kind of a helmet, kind of a face mask thing. So it's that flexible rubber stuff, but it has this printing, kind of an interesting design, sort of tribal, sort of I would say like techno graphic kind of thing here. So it's this interesting kind of printing all over, goes around the top. We have the spikes and the tail molded on the back. Then we have kind of this cutout for the minifigure head, the kind of wings that go off the side, and maybe some mouth kind of pinchers things up here as well. And then yes, this actually goes over the minifigure head, which I thought was really unique because I've been looking at Chima figures, and Chima figures have like a molded head piece that you can see the eyes through, but it's and then have kind of a weird minifigure head underneath. This one is similar in some ways. So this is the minifigure head underneath there, and for the majority of like the eyes and the face and everything, you can see a lot of that through this head covering piece here. But I don't know what this looks like, if this is supposed to look like a manta ray's face or anything like that. It's a very weird kind of uncanny, scary looking face there, and a minifigure head in a nice color. No alternate face here for this one at all. And then looking at the torso printing, it kind of looks like it might be wearing a suit of some kind, or it's just got like skin or blubber or something going on here. So we do have printing in the torso, but it looks to me like maybe there's something going on with like the pectorals. There's some different kind of like speckling going up on kind of in either of the shoulder. I'm not sure what these are. They look to me almost to be like pocket areas there, and it looks like they could have, like, this is maybe a manta ray looking like the tail coming down there, but it also is in the position of maybe a zipper or something like that. So I don't know exactly what all this is supposed to be. It's kind of a unique torso print. Nothing on the arms, nothing on the midsections, nothing on the legs, nothing on the back for this character. Some of that does get covered up a little bit because we have the headpiece coming on the back there. So that is that character. So those are the 4 minifigures. Those are pretty interesting. I imagine the Ace Speedman, Axel Storm, and Jeff Fischer, the kind of divers here, are all characters that pop up in other Atlantis sets, as well as I believe there was a LEGO Atlantis movie or TV show at one point, and I'm sure there are characters there. The Manta Warrior, I think this is kind of a character that could be masked. They're maybe a little nondescript. They don't have a name. They're just a Manta Warrior. I believe you could get one of these in like a poly bag, as well as some other stuff there. So that's good to get one of those as well. And then we do have kind of a side build here, which is this. This is called the Manta Ray Guardian, which is a Stingray Guardian that I don't know specifically what it's supposed to do. I maybe protecting Atlantis, protecting the Neptune character, maybe cooperating with this Manta Warrior. I'm not sure if there's animosity between the Manta Warrior and any of the Neptune crew here, or this Manta Ray Guardian here. It could be that they're enemies or combative towards each other. It could also be that they're working together, or they're just studying each other or exploring. So I don't know specifically what this is guarding. If you know any of the lore for the Atlantis stuff, please feel free to leave it in the comments there. But this is like a brick built Manta Ray here, which is really, really cool. It's a good size. It is a lot bigger compared to some of the minifigures there. And this was a super simple build, but pretty cool. So we start with kind of some of these inverted kind of slope pieces there, inverted tile on the bottom. Nice use of pieces for kind of like the mouth area here, and then for the eyes. I think this is so simple, but really well done, and captures the essence of kind of a manta ray really, really well. We have these big kind of slope pieces for the wings or the flaps or the fins there. They do have stickers on them, again, kind of having that technographic kind of tribal looking scarring or printing or whatever going on there. Those are stickers on either side. And then we have the tail in the back. Use some nice pieces here. This kind of piece for the tail with the barb at the end. And then we have these kind of seaweed looking pieces, or sometimes they're used for plant roots, but they're this weird kind of frosted white sort of translucent there. And I'm not sure if these are glow in the dark. They may be. So that's pretty interesting there. And this is super cool. These are on a hinge, so these can kind of go back and forth. You do see a little bit of the blue down there. If you have them too far open, the tail can spin. These could potentially be positioned there. But overall, this is like a super swooshable thing. It does feel like it could be, swimming rather fast through the water. And like I said, I think this couple pieces here to do the face, or like the mouth or nose or top of the head and the eyes area here, if that is what these are, which I believe they are, I think that's really well done. So these pieces I feel like I see in a lot of different other kinds of sets, car sets and vehicle sets, but used here in a really, really nice way. So that's great. The other thing I wanted to point out before we get into the main build is this. This is one of the Atlantis keys here, and this is a green manta ray key. It actually comes in its own little bag here, and this is kind of interesting. It's like this round piece. It looks like minifigure hands could clip onto there, or other clips could clip onto there. It looks to me to be dual molded with some gold and some translucent, and then it has some printing on it. It does have a spot on the back to maybe secure it to something. So I don't know specifically what these were supposed to do in terms of how these operated. It's a gold ring with trans neon green triangle bearing the picture of a manta ray, exclusive key piece. There's 5 initial versions, and then there was a 6th key that appeared in one set, and I don't know what they can do. I thought maybe the box or the instructions said there was maybe something to scan or some sort of mixed media thing here or something. And I actually believe that this set came with maybe some like 3D glasses or something like that. Maybe let me look for those. Let me see what I can figure out. Okay, so after looking long and hard, I was able to find the LEGO Atlantis 3D glasses that also came with this Neptune Carrier set, and I believe I also found the instructions. I used the digital instructions, so I didn't have these readily available as I was recording this, but it does have something where you can go to, or you used to be able to go to atlantis.lego.com. You could put on the 3D glasses and maybe watch stuff in 3D, which is its own kind of cool thing, I suppose. If this is 2009, 2010, we're still like a little bit before iPhones and smartphones in general got like really, really good. I think the first iPhone is coming out around then. Android phones, Windows phones are all coming out from different manufacturers and stuff, but I don't know if it was super advanced. And as we've seen throughout the years, LEGO with like Hidden Side, and I think even Nexo got more into kind of this mixed media thing where there like a digital kind of play element to it. The Mario Course Builder kind of follows that and stuff, and this is kind of in that intermediary period where the technology wasn't like what we have in 2024, or even like we had in 2016, 2017, 2018. In 2009, 2010, things were just a bit different. I guess the iPhone had probably been out. Did it come out in 2006 maybe? I can't remember exactly, but either way, this is 2010. Things just were different back then on the internet and with our devices and everything else. So very, very interesting. But we do have this 3D glasses here, and I don't know if this Manta key has really anything to do with that, but it may, and I just thought that was interesting. I didn't open these just because I don't, I have no idea if they're going to be a collector's item or anything like that. I just thought I would keep them sealed for now, sort of like what I was doing with these Chima cards here. They're just a weird sort of LEGO history oddity there. So that's that. And then besides all of that stuff, the rest of the build is this Neptune Carrier here. So we will get into it. So this is a big sort of deep sea submersible, a large submarine, and there's lots of different stuff going on in here. So I don't exactly remember the build process of this. I remember it being kind of unique, and I'm gonna go through this in a somewhat strange way, because there are some build things in here that are sort of side buildy but are also kind of encapsulated here. So the first thing I will show is actually the what is this called? The Rover? No. This is something, an underwater scooter perhaps. So this is a little bit of a side build, but it also attaches to the main build in a kind of a nice way. It just clips on there or pins on there with a Technic pin. Looks like it's all part of it. Looks like it has some extra thrust back here. But if we take this off, we can see some pretty cool stuff. We have these kind of thrusters here. This is built very, very simply, just starting with a 2x4. We kind of build up with studs on top type of stuff here, build out the back, add in some propellers there. We have some of these kind of like harpoon gun looking accessories here on the side, which is nice. A little bit of studs on the side building with these vented pieces. And we have a handlebar here, and we have a spot for a character to sit. So one of these that right now I picked Dr. Fischer could take off their fins here and could pilot this around. And this is kind of a docking point, or sorry, this is the docking point, but this is the underwater scooter that somebody could do. So this is like its own little vehicle here, its own little build. It's relatively small, but substantial enough. I mean, considering the piece count of this set and everything here, this is not nothing. I think it does look really cool when it's attached on there. It looks like it's kind of just part of the whole thing, but super easy to take that off, and it's another little toy, another little element. This is something that could be in a $10 box or in a poly bag potentially, although it might be a little bit big for that, but it's hard to say. But this is a pretty capable build here. I like the use of like these arches coming together with the jumper and then using that kind of curved piece up here, and we have some stuff kind of going down the, like splitting the studs, so to speak, there, which is very, very nice. And this just overall is a nice little underwater scooter. Cool accessory there. Fun to have that extra bit. And then I mistakenly referred to that as a rover, an underwater rover, and that's because we do also have an underwater rover in here. So I will pull that out, and then we'll go into more of the kind of functions of where all these things are stored and everything else going on here in this set. So this is the underwater rover. This is very, very cool. If we look, it's got some interesting stuff going on down here. It uses kind of one of the classic chassis and these interesting kind of axle pieces there, which is good. We do use these kind of barrel type wheels in the red. I encountered these in a different video recently when I was looking at a Nexonite set, but these are a nice Lego piece there, relatively big, and that's really good. Nice curves back here. There is a spot for a minifigure to sit. We have a couple levers on the side. It looks like we have some like tanks or something here with these valves, which is very, very nice. Cool little detail. Nice translucent green here. Same on the side, maybe for some lights. And then up at the front, again, we have nice use of like jumper stuff and different curved pieces. And then we have kind of these robotic arms with these clips here that can be articulated. So this can kind of pick stuff up, and those are kind of controlled maybe by these levers there, which is great, as well as how this operates. And so I think it's really cool to have like the side build vehicle that has its own kind of play features here, where you could sit a figure in there or potentially stand them up, but you could sit them down in there. even with their helmet on, which is a good consideration, very, very important. And this could do different stuff underneath the water there, which is great. And then same for this one, we kind of have the extra like play stuff of the propellers and sitting a minifigure on here, and then we have kind of the harpoon looking gun things there. So some really substantial side builds here that kind of get tucked away in a really nice way. I mean, this one's a little bit obvious once you know it's there, but this one hides very, very well in the rest of the sub, in this Neptune Carrier here. So now we can look more at the rest of this, and there is a lot of empty space in this set, and that's kind of for good reason, I would say. I believe when you start building this, you start by building kind of this whole body section. There's almost like this pillar going up through the center of it. A lot of studs on top stuff, but some bracket usage for studs on the side to kind of lock everything down. We also do have stickers in this set. I already mentioned the two that were on the Manta Ray Guardian there, and this is the rest of the sticker sheet. They are not numbered, so I did have to look at the physical instructions to make sure I was doing it right, but I'll kind of point those out as we go. When I'm talking about this pillar here, we do have these stickers on these gray tiles, which look to be like depth meters or something there. It almost looks like a ruler, the way that those things are divvied up. We actually have the same on the other side, so that's fine. Big panel stickers on these kind of Technic panels. Sticker right here on the side, same on the other side and over here, and then we have a sticker on the front there as well. I think that is, oh, one more. We have one more back here on the rear. So we kind of build up this main core. We start building up kind of the front area here and the cockpit, and then the antenna area, some of the fins, and this propeller thing. I don't even remember what the build order is for this, but this vehicle almost works like it has multiple floors. It's kind of got the lower floor, which has storage and different stuff down there. It's got kind of this middle floor, which seems a little bit open, and it is, but that's not a huge issue. It also has where it has this big kind of propeller here, which allows for this to move. I don't know what that called that. A stern thruster, and then the hangar bay there. So that's kind of all of that. So this can rotate around to help propel this big thing. I don't know if this gets power from anywhere else other than that, but that's okay. I suppose when this is attached, that could also aid in here. We have kind of like an antenna structure up here with some different colored tiles for lights. We have maybe some searchlights up here, and I think the middle area there is supposed to be kind of a lab area. So the bottom is kind of this hangar bay. This is, you know, another kind of hangar area for this to attach the propeller. And these panels can actually open up so we can see in there. So if I flipped this down, we can see inside we have spots for minifigures to go in there, and there is a printed kind of slope piece in there with a console kind of looking thing, and in these wings we have some tools. So we have like a wrench and maybe a hammer here kind of tucked in the side, these kind of minifigure accessories there. So we have something like this that can be used by the minifigures, and then if we look at the other side, fold this down, we have two more harpoon guns, the same ones that are on the underwater scooter there, but these could be removed and used by the minifigures should they need access to a harpoon gun accessory there. And with this both open, we can kind of see that control panel in there better. There's not a ton of room in here, and frankly, it's pretty difficult to get a character in there, especially for someone with hands like mine. But if I kind of get them in sort of. Let me sit their legs down here, and I can kind of get them studded down in there, and we can close up the side. So it does have this big opening here, but if they're still just wearing their breathing apparatus there, their scuba gear, they can sit in there and it not be too much of an issue. So that's kind of the lab area there. I love when there's storage for minifigure accessories. I think that's really great, and I think it kind of helps with the overall like flow of the main bulk of this. I kind of see some of the dark bluish gray and stuff is sort of fading away, and what it leaves is this really interesting shape for the red silhouette of everything here. It feels almost like a angler fish or something that's very like front heavy in a way that I really appreciate. So that's very cool. Moving up from that, we have kind of the main floor, the main cockpit area there, which has this excellent translucent green canopy piece. It's flat on either side here, and it's big and cool and well produced. So this is really nice. And then up there, we can fit a couple minifigures up top. We have room for that there. Again, using these steering wheels as maybe some valves. Another printed slope piece for the console there, which is very, very nice. And we can fit the figures in there. I believe they can fit with their helmets on, something like that. And we can pop that right on there. So that's very, very good. They even kind of made considerations for where their hands might be and where the back of this headpiece might be. So that looks really, really good in there. It's kind of an interesting little Easter egg here. And from the information I saw, there is a gold piece in here in the front of this that is not visible unless you're building it or looking at it right now. And I think people speculate that maybe that's sort of one of the power sources, mysterious power sources for this Neptune character or carrier submarine there. But that's kind of interesting. Building out around the front, some nice shaping in here, nice kind of change in depth. We have some window pieces up front in there, which I don't think you really have access to like get in here, but you could potentially try to build something into there. This piece coming together here on an angle using those vented slopes as well as a hinge piece is really, really nice. Meeting up with this piece is really good. Again, we have the kind of these lights up here, lights up front that can kind of be positioned a little bit like that. Just before we go into the hangar here, on these kind of fins or these wings here, we do have flick fire missiles. I don't really like flick fire missiles. They tend to like hurt my finger and they don't work that well, but maybe it's just a matter of not having them in all the way. So these can be flicked and launched out. So it's not like a stud shooter or a tile shooter or a bolt shooter in the sense that we that I know them now, but this is another kind of projectile that LEGO occasionally does. I've encountered them before, and they're not my favorite, but they're something. It's just another element of play here that I think is really cool. So you could see when these are like really, and this sort of fell off there, when these are like really in there, these Technic pin pieces kind of go through the Technic pin hole like all the way. They're pretty difficult to launch, but if they're sort of primed a little bit and kind of pressed through, then they fly out of there relatively well. This is one big cool piece similar to this, but just a lot longer, which is nice. We do have the sticker on there, and then we can kind of get towards the hangar because that is where the Rover is stored when this is maybe descending or in operation or traveling or anything else like that. So we have this really, really big sort of hull area and the kind of hangar section. It uses these really, really big pieces, these kind of weird conical here, but like a half cylinder at the back, some places to stud things down on the back, but also some Technic pinholes in there. A super unique piece, a big piece to produce. We do have a little bit of a sticker there on either side. And then beneath that, we have kind of a ramp. And this uses the ratchet hinges here, and they're a little bit stiff, so it's kind of hard to open and close this, but we can kind of look at this. We have a couple more propellers at the front. This is the ramp using one of those kind of tiles that has studs around the edge that they used to use for like UCS nameplates. You'd put a big sticker here, but in red it's kind of a big panel piece, and then some big openings in there. But there's kind of more to this. You can see on the side we have all of this Technic structure that looks a little bit crude, a little bit raw. It does connect to the propeller at the front, but it also holds on these kind of big rounded pieces on the side, and there's kind of a unique sort of function for these things, and that is that this opens up. So something like that. We can actually pull these back, and this totally changes the shape of how this ship looks. Maybe this is for docking or whatever, but now you can see how much like empty area there is underneath the main couple floors up here. There's just tons of empty space, so it really feels like the bulk of this is kind of up here, and it is, and then the rest is kind of empty, but it allows for storage and cargo and all of that stuff. So we use some hinges in here, and they allow for this to kind of slide forward and back. We also have hinges in here on the inside, so you can kind of see that they move in at an angle, can open up. On the other side, we can push this forward and open it up. So that allows potentially for the Rover to be easier to deploy, which is good. And I lost one of my levers here, or joysticks, so get that back on there. So if these open up, it's kind of docked in a different way. It can allow the Rover to back up into it. What I found I liked to do is once it's in there, I liked to move the ramp up like one click roughly, which does kind of hold this in there a little better. And then these can kind of close around that, and it actually finishes up this this angle, kind of matches up there and closes that up in a very, very nice way, such that the Rover is not at risk of coming out. So when it's traveling, this makes sense. It looks very complete, very, very nice. You might not even notice that the Rover is in there. It almost looks like it could be some other detail filling up the space there. And then if it were to land on the sea floor, for example, or hover above the sea floor, it could open up these, it could lower the kind of ramp, and the Rover could roll on out of there. That's really, really fun, great design, and it just works. Actually, when I was building this, I was really, really confused about what was going on here. Just some of the angles that this model had at various degrees of completion made it really difficult for me to fully grasp what was going on, but now that I know, it's very, very clear and very cool. What just happened is actually one of the things I sort of mentioned, is that these ratchet hinges, either from being old or just the way they were making them back in the day, are very, very stiff. So it's kind of hard to move this ramp, and just the way that everything's attached here, it has like a plate, a 2x plate down here, and then we have that 1x2 with the ratchet hinge piece there, and that's just attached by the inverted tile underneath, as well as the couple pieces up top. And it is somewhat easy to knock like some of those pieces off. So I think I have to be a little bit delicate with how I open and close this ramp. It's not as doable as maybe modern Lego is. I think I could swap those pieces out and not have to be worried about any pieces, becoming detached or anything like that, because as is, there's not a great way to hold this, to kind of flip this up, because I do one side and the other side kind of unattaches or detaches there rather. And so it's not the most elegant. It's a little bit weird there, but that could be just the age of the set, and how these pieces were designed back in the day. And that's kind of everything that's in here. I feel like I'm missing stuff because this is a pretty sizable model with lots of cool little features, internal details, places that are like things that are a little hidden, Easter eggs, play functions, place to put it minifigures, the projectiles, other little vehicles and sub-assemblies that kind of add into this whole docking and undocking, this kind of hangar area there. So there's a lot going on in this set. I think it looks really great kind of head on like this. I think it looks really great from the side, and it's a pretty swooshable thing too if held kind of at the base here, just under the propeller area there, which is super cool. This is great. This is really, really cool. I like this a lot. And surprisingly, there isn't a ton of pieces in this set, especially when you consider the minifigures, the minifigure accessories, and the kind of side build stuff here. There's not that many pieces, and this is a big model. At the time, I think this was the biggest Atlantis set. Now, I don't know if that's strictly piece count or if that's like mass or volume or weight or whatever, because there also, there is a lot of empty space in this. We have this big, nice circle with these kind of archways and these other kind of slopes here. We have another kind of element of that in the lab bay area there. Lots of open space potentially in the hangar. So there is some unused space here, but that's still really, really cool. There are big pieces in here like this one, these panels, these pieces, this piece. So there are a lot of sizable pieces. There's also a good amount of small pieces. So I'm really impressed by how LEGO pushed the part budget of this set to make something that feels almost like 3 or 4 distinct sets on its own, with all the different side build stuff, and then integrate it all together into something that's potentially greater than the sum of its parts, or maybe some people think not as much as the sum of its parts, but it does have lots of parts and is really, really cool. So this is a lot more than I thought I was going to get. I'll show the extra pieces because you do get some besides, the ones I've already kind of shown, like these weird key and the glasses and stuff like that. It's all your 1x1s, your tiny pieces, your studs, some tiles, some Technic pins in there, the little white barb for the tail of the Manta Ray Guardian, lots of these different studs of the same kind of green color there. These little pieces are I believe what connected the flippers together. So these aren't really a piece. They're just mixed in with my extra pieces right now, but those are all the extra pieces. And this set is 476 pieces. And I paid $60 for this set. This set retailed for $60. I got this set for $60, even though it came out in 2009 or 2010, which is, 15 years ago. That's kind of crazy. It was in a store that never really increased the price. It just was still on the shelf, a local store to me that I like to go to because occasionally I don't know if they just have old sets in storage, but I can find retired sets there that they haven't changed the price on at all. And so I got this for $60 sealed, brand new from a store. I think in the aftermarket, it goes for $90 to $100 to $120 sealed in the box. So if I were to find more of these at $60, I could potentially sell them for $100 or $120 and make some profit there, which is something I consider doing, but I don't always do. I do have an eBay page where I do Pokemon and Lego and other stuff, mostly sealed Lego sets, but I'm not what I would call a Lego investor or a speculator or anything like that. But this is potentially, the way that I acquired this would be an opportunity to make some money here. And all that's to say is apparently this set, for a lot of people, according to the market, is more valuable than what I paid for it. I certainly think this is more valuable than what I paid for it. I'm very happy that I paid $60. I think at the time this released, people probably thought $60 was a little bit expensive for this because it's less than 500 pieces. 3 of the minifigures are pretty much the same. And so I could have seen people, and actually I think I did see a review from back in the day that said maybe this should be $45, $50, something like that. Frankly, $60 for this much stuff, this amount of minifigures, kind of specialized pieces, big pieces in here, all the different builds, the glasses, and everything else. $60 feels pretty good for the amount of Lego, the amount of plastic I have in here, plus all the design work that went into it, all the play functionality, all those little features. I think $60 is a great price for this. So I'm super pleased. If this came out in 2024, obviously there'd be a lot of differences in how it was designed and everything else, but I don't see a set like this being retailing for $60. I think there are certain city sets, for example, that have big pieces. Some of the deep sea exploration city sub theme have big pieces, or the boat pieces that float, or all different stuff. Some of those are priced high compared to their piece count, but that's because they have these difficult to produce pieces or these big pieces. And so this feels to me like it probably would be, who knows, $65, $70, $75, $80 in 2024. Maybe not. I could be wrong. I think $60 is a very, very good price for this. Of course, like I typically say, I would have loved to get it for cheaper. And in fact, I think if you buy this set used, you can probably get it for closer to $40, maybe $35, $40, which again is great. But for a sealed one, which a set that's 15 years old, they're not making any more of them. So anytime they are opened and built, there's one less of them out there. I don't know if that necessarily correlates to it to continue to appreciate in quote unquote value, or what people are willing to pay for it. But this set is one that sits at a price that's higher than its retail price. So it's also a set that if someone bought it in 2009, 2010 and just held on to it, they could sell it today for some profit. It's not the best return on investment considering all the years it needed to sit in storage and everything like that. But it's kind of a unique thing. I'm certainly glad I didn't have to pay $90 for this. Do I think this is worth $90 or $100? It's a little more complicated. It is retired, so I do have to factor that in. And when I do factor that in, yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense if that's what the market sort of puts it at. That doesn't feel too, crazy to me. I feel like I've paid for various retired sets, more than the retail price and more compared to what the actual piece count would suggest it would be priced at. But that is sort of the nature of looking at retired sets. And I'm super thrilled to be able to look at this. So I think I got a great deal, and I probably would have even paid more for this if I could have found one or would have looked for one. I am interested in looking at more Atlantis sets. I have to see what the theme has to offer, because this was really great. And if I could get more Atlantis sets at retail price from 15 years ago, I think that's a no-brainer. However, I don't think I'm going to be that lucky finding many more Atlantis sets that are still at the retail price. But wow, enjoyable. A new theme I hadn't looked at before, a new theme for the channel. So really, really cool. A lot of stuff in here. This video went on a little long, so I hope that's okay. I appreciate those of you that stayed and watched and enjoyed it if you did. So very, very cool. And I think that's it. So if you like this video, please click the thumbs up and give it a like. If you like my other videos, click the subscribe button down below so you can stay up to date on all the LEGO videos I'll be doing here in the future, including maybe more LEGO Atlantis, and then tons of other LEGO sets from all different themes, all different shapes, size, price point, piece count, tons of different stuff. So subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming LEGO videos. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Be amazing to get there. It means a lot to me. So I appreciate anybody that subscribes. If you're not subscribed, maybe consider doing it. It means a lot to me. It's very helpful. So thank you very much. And then if you wanted to support this channel in a different way, you could do that here on YouTube with membership, supers, and thanks. And I have the Patreon. It's in the video description. It's on my channel page, patreon.com/sobrick. So maybe consider checking those things out again. It does help me a great deal. So I appreciate it. And with all that said, until next time, thanks. Bye.